Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. Finally, I am back from the training camp and also the tournament. Like everything is all over and I'm now back at home again. The training this time was actually really effective because the tournament turned out like the tournament that followed up the training was actually a huge success for me. I actually won a lot of things. I've got two trophies here, and this one is so like actually we're like in the same group, and but there are men and girls playing against each other in the same group, and this I am in like I am the first girl, like ranked number 1 girl in our group, and also I am ranked number 3 in the whole group, just like including all boys and girls. And also like these two trophies, they're actually the same, just the words are different down there. And actually they are really pretty, and yeah, I also won a lot of money as well as medals, so it's actually a huge success. And also my rating points went up by over 100, and it is also something really satisfying. Some of the games were really like interesting, and I think I'll probably make some videos about these games later on. But today I am going to talk about this game that I'm going to show it to you guys. Now, during the tournament where I was playing, the 2024 FIDE World Chess Championship has also started, but at that time I wasn't able to record the video because I am like playing the tournament and I didn't bring anything to do it. And actually right now, today, the day that I'm recording this video, this is there is the last game today that we'll be playing at night. I won't explain all the games, and I'll mainly analyze those games where there is like one side has won the game. And the tournament is still going on. Tonight is going to be the last round. The scores of the two players are right now equal, and it's also like the most crucial game. Tonight's game is the most crucial game of this whole tournament, and I'm actually really looking forward to this exciting final showdown. Now, in the first round of this championship, there was actually a winner and a loser right away. You know, usually it's going to end in a draw in the first round, in like an average, but I mean, it's actually really a big surprise. And you might think, okay, Gukesh probably won, but it's actually not Gukesh, but Ding who won the first game. He also won the game as the black pieces. Now, before the game, actually, everyone predicted that Gukesh is going to win the championship because he has been playing so many good results in recent like big tournaments, and for Ding he is actually struggling a lot. But he lost like Gukesh lost Ding in the first round, and for a while a lot of people just like didn't say anything, and as the tournament went on, new predictions came out. It's no longer a one-sided like situation anymore, and people also gradually like calm down and get used to like the current situation. They think it's a close match, and of course it is. Ding is coming back, and both sides are having like a really tough time dealing with it. Like it's really tense, and it's not that easy for either of them to win. Now, the game in the first round is actually really exciting, and today we'll be taking a look at the first round in the 2024 FIDE World Chess Championship. In this game, Gukesh is playing with the white pieces against Ding Liren as the black pieces. And now let's take a look. Gukesh's white started with e4, and Ding replied with e6. Just to note that in like the 2024 World Chess Championship, Richard Rapport is again Ding's like second, like someone who helps like Ding to like prepare for the openings, and yeah. And here, Richard actually prepared the French defense for Ding. And it's actually a very interesting opening, the French. I mean, it could, like, there are many drawing variations in it, where it can just lead to a draw very quickly. but it can also be really aggressive in some of the lines. It actually depends on how white is going to play. Now, Gukesh played d4, very logical, and here Ding played d5, knight c3, knight f6, and e5. Of course, this is all theory. And after knight f d7 here, f4 was played, and now c5. Here, actually, there are many options for white. There's like knight f3 or bishop e3, like just simply to develop, as well as knight ce2. And in the game, knight ce2 was played. This is like not the best or the most played line. The best move here is actually to play knight f3 to defend the d4 pawn, but knight c2 was played by Gukesh, and his idea is actually to bring this knight to f3, but also play c3 at some point to like support the d4 pawn. But the main problem for this move is that, like for knight c2, is that this knight blockades this bishop on f1, and yeah. But it's okay, and in the game, Ding replied with knight c6. Everything is going pretty fast here. Both sides are still in their preparation, c3, and here, Ding actually played a5. And he spent about half an hour on this a5 move. It's not bad. And actually, during the interview after this game, Ding said he basically just forgot how to play this line like c3 and what should I do. And actually here, basically, bishop e7 is a very clear okay move. Also, with some calculation, f6 is possible as well as queen b6. But here, Ding decided to play a5 after thinking for half an hour. Now, a5 is of course playable, but it of course create some weaknesses, for example the b5 square, as well as like this is just basically something that you don't usually do in the French defense as the black pieces. But a5 was played anyway, and the idea is clear. Black is going to create a big black queenside space advantage, and by pushing a4 a3 on the next few moves. Now Gukesh here decided to play knight f3. He played all of these things really fast, and a4 was played, so Ding is pushing the pawns further. Bishop e3, and you can see that Gukesh is still not using like much of his time. He is just blitzing out each move. Ding is using his time to think. Bishop e7 and g4 here was played. Now, actually, in my opinion, g4 is a slight inaccuracy by Gukesh. He is going really aggressive in the first round. And g4, I mean, it's just way too aggressive. The idea is to go f5, of course, but it, of course, leads to many problems, the dark squares, and basically here, black can just go short castle, and if you go f5, well, basically here it doesn't kind of work, because after takes, black can here actually, with a lot of calculation, go f6, and this is just simply winning. Because if you take on e6, there's now f takes e5, and attacking the knight on f3, and if you take on e5, well, there's just knight de5, and everything is falling apart. The king on e1 is way too weak, and everything is just going to be falling apart for white. Now, g4 is not losing, of course, but what white should have done is actually just to like develop with knight g3 to open up the diagonal for the bishop and quickly go castle, and then, you know, slowly prepare for f5 ideas. But in the game, Gukesh kind of was in a hurry, and he played g4 immediately, and after queen a5, which was played in the game, not the best reply. Again, short castle is the best option here, because there's always f6 to prevent everything. But in the game, Ding played queen a5, also spending about like I don't know here. Yeah, he spent 14 minutes on this move, actually pretty long, and then he played queen a5. In the game, Gukesh here played bishop g2, and after a3, well, actually, a3 is not the best option here. It's okay, but here b5 is also recommended, because b5, you're also at the same time threatening like b4 ideas. You're just creating a huge, big black queenside, actually. But a3 is also okay, following the plan. After a3, b3, and in the game here, Ding decided to create some counterplay and he decided to open up the center with c takes d4. Now after c takes d4, b4 was played, of course, because if you take on d4, let's say if you take with the knight, there's now bishop h4 check, which you obviously don't want to allow. But if you take with any of the other pieces, let's say if you take with the bishop, you'll lose the bishop pair, and after take with the queen, b5 probably, bishop c5 is coming and the dark squares are kind of a bit weak. I'm not sure how this is going to end, but of course it's going to be great for white to play. And b4 is the best move here, played by Gukesh, queen c7, and knight ed4. Here, knight b6 was played. The idea is to get the knight to c4 at some point. You see, the main problem with b4 is that it creates a huge weakness on c4, as well as the c3 pawn. So it's actually really important for you to always remember that whenever you're playing or you're trying to make a pawn move, it's really important for you to calculate that move closely, because a pawn can never go back. If you pushed it, it can never go back. It has to be pushed further, no turning around. And if you played a pawn move, and of course, every pawn move creates a weakness. And here b4 actually creates two weaknesses, c4 and c3. But b4 is actually the best option because it attacks the queen and also creates more space on the queen side. So it's like a two-faced or like two-sided move, b4. But in the game, it turned out to be better for black to use. Knight b6, short castle, and knight c4. Bishop f2 was played. Of course, you're going to preserve the bishop here. Bishop d7, and here, queen e2 was played. Now, a few exchanges are played. Knight d4, knight takes d4, and knight b2 was played. Now, already in this position, actually, black is doing really well and basically having no trouble here at all. Attacking the c3 pawn, also enjoying like the very strong knight on b2, which is well being defended by the a3 pawn. Everything is really nice for black, but the main problem, or the only problem that black needs to watch out, is that always watch out for f5 threats. That is the only thing that white has, but it's the most dangerous thing that can happen if it succeeds. And in the game, queen e3 was played. Now, the main problem is that if you go f5 immediately, there's queen takes c3, and basically you can't really create anything because there's now rook ac1 to attack the queen, but now there's just queen b4. Black just needs to gobble up the pawns, and if you take on e6, basically there's nothing. And if you go f6, now there's takes, bishop takes. Okay, the position might seem pretty open up, but actually with accurate play, black is completely fine here. But you do have to find this really hard move, which is rook a6, to prevent some 6th rank checks like knight d6 and to defend everything. But it's actually really messy, so it's probably really hard for both players to spot. In the game, queen e3 was played, and now rook c8, attacking the c3 pawn, and here rook ac1 was played, defending it, queen c4, and f5 here. Finally, Gukesh cannot stand this position anymore, because if he keeps defending and defending, he knows that he'll reach nothing. So he needs to create counterplay, and he played this f5 move. And in the game, Ding is actually now 32 minutes on the clock, and Gukesh, amazingly, he was thinking for too long, and now he only has 30 minutes left on the clock, even slower than Ding is, actually. And this is actually already not a good sign for Gukesh. He played f5, and here Ding decided to trade off the queens by playing queen d3, because your king is still in the center, and the biggest problem for black is this queen. Usually it's really dangerous when your opponent's queen is on the board and your king is still not safe. So it's actually a really safe plan for black to trade off the queens. And of course, Gukesh knows that if he takes, and after takes, he'll definitely lose this, because after, let's say, rook c2, there's all kinds of ideas coming up with bishop g5. White can only basically defend here and just wait for black to create chaos. Alright, so in the game, Gukesh here, he actually made a mistake. The best move is to go queen f4, and it's actually really obvious. There are basically just two moves here that like can run away from the queen trade. One is to go queen e1 and the other is to go queen f4. But if you go queen e1, you see that this bishop can now get to this diagonal and attack the rook and just get into white's position. So queen f4 is actually really reasonable. And if you take on c3, which is actually not possible, there's now f6. Well, not f6, because f6, I mean, it's possible, but after like takes, there's bishop f8. Wait, no, not bishop f8, because there's now this excellent knight e6 move, and after bishop e6, there's bishop f1 to trap the queen somehow. I mean, oh, and now you're like threatening bishop b5, rook c8 ideas all coming up. Oh, so you cannot go like bishop f8, but the only move here is actually to go bishop d8, because now you cannot take on e6 any longer. The bishop defends it really well, and short castle is coming. Alright, now this explains it all. But, anyways, here queen f4 was not played, and queen e1 was played instead. And actually, this is the start of disaster, because now after queen e1, Dean quickly played this bishop g5 move, which is a really nice move, the only move here to maintain the advantage. And after rook c2, rook c4 was played, keeping the pressure and everything is actually really bad for white. Even though it may seem that the queen is actually really kind of like trapped on d3. And yes, of course, it cannot really go anywhere, but there's also no way for white to really trap this queen. Let's see how this game proceeded. h4 was first played, but now there's just basically bishop f4 to slide into the position, and after queen b1, the e5 pawn is also under attack. There's also some times where black can actually take on e5. But in the game, rook c3 was played, taking the c3 pawn, and after takes, queen takes c3. Now, of course, both sides know that white is the side who is worse here, but Gukesh knows that he is worse. But if he keeps on playing these kinds of defending moves, he knows that he is going to lose. So he needs to create counterplay, and in the game he decided to open up the position by playing f takes e6. And after, well, actually here, I'm going to ask you guys to take on e6 with the bishop or to take with the pawn. You guys can actually think about it, to take with the bishop or take with the pawn. In the game, f takes e6 was played, and it's a mistake. Now, bishop e6 would have been the best move. Now, of course, if you take on e6, there's f takes e6. There's just no problem here. But I think what Ding is afraid of is actually knight b5, because it like attacks the queen and also threatens like knight d6 checks. But there's just now queen takes e5, and probably there's like knight a3, but it's actually just okay, completely fine for black. Rook a8 ideas are coming. But I think the main thing that Ding is worrying about is that this knight is now no longer being defended by the a3 pawn, and he wants to like keep it really safe, and he decides to play f takes e6, which is not good and gives back half or like almost all the advantage that black has. In the game, knight e2 is now played, very logical, and after queen takes e5, knight takes, queen takes. Now, white actually has the bishop pair, and black's king is still in the center. In the game, actually, there's only one move for white to really like save the position, like at least not letting black to have a winning advantage, and that move is actually to go bishop c5 to cut up this diagonal, and after queen takes g4, for example, then go queen c2. And the point of this move being is that there's now queen b3 to take this a3 pawn and everything to get the queen out. But in the game, instead of playing bishop c5, Gukesh decided to play queen c2 first. But now the main problem is that there's queen f, not queen f, but queen c4 to offer a queen trade. Because now, if you go like after queen takes bishop c5 here, queen c2, there's no longer queen c4. Because now there's just queen f2, threatening mate. And it's basically unstoppable. you can only go king d8, but of course now after the best move queen g3, cutting off everything, this is basically just completely winning for white. And in the game, Gukesh probably didn't saw that and instead played queen c2 first, missing the opportunity, and now Ding is just nailing it. He played queen c4, and after queen d2, now getting the king to safety with short castle, and now basically it is all over. Bishop d4, a nice try by Gukesh, but Ding found the best move really fast, and he played knight d3. And after queen e3, still Gukesh is trying to save the position. Both of them knows that white is going to lose, because white is down 2 pawns basically, but Gukesh is still trying. And after rook f1, bishop f1, e5, Ding is just nailing it, playing all of the best moves to end this game. Bishop takes e5, but now there's queen g4, and the game quickly ended after a few good moves. Okay, they reached the second time control, but it doesn't really matter because this half hour added to Gukesh clock cannot help him to save the position. And after queen c2, king g3, queen takes a2, Ding is just gobbling up the pawns, and everything is all over after bishop e6. And now a very important thing is you cannot go king h7 because now there's actually just queen takes e4, and after d takes e4 there's bishop a2, and it's no longer winning for black. So even at the very end, you know that you're winning, you still have to be careful not to blunder anything or like to throw the game away. And of course, Ding, he knows not to play king h7, and he played king h8. And after king h8 here, Gukesh just simply resigned because it's just unstoppable. Like queen g2 checks are coming, also up 3 pawns for black. There's no counterplay. I mean, you can still probably play on, for example, with bishop h3 ideas, but there's just no point being because after queen b2, the pawn is going to promote, and it's just unstoppable. And with that, Liren won his first game in the World Chess Championship, a very important win for him. He is in the lead after this game, but of course, no one can keep on winning games, especially in the World Chess Championship. And he won the first game, but immediately in the end, the two players tied the game, and tonight it is going to be the 14th game. So really, we're looking forward to it, and hope you guys enjoyed this recap of the game. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Thank you.